play on like all platforms. So
Oh,
just
okay.
like it'll run it. I think it'll take a second.
Okay. Hi, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Danielle Jack, and I'm from British Columbia, Canada. It's nice to be here with you all. Okay, thank you. So when I'm going to start from the very beginning, I am a survivor of MMIW. And when I say I'm a survivor, that means that I survived an abduction. I pretended I was dead so that I could survive. Um, so I'll start from the beginning. I was 12 years old walking home, and I was approached by a car with 3 white men in there, and they abducted me. They threw me in the car, stripped me naked, beat me. The more I fought back, the more I got beat. And it was like their mentality was like how dare you fight for your life? How dare you try to protect yourself? And that was the mentality that these sick people had. I was stripped naked. I was raped, both vaginally and anally. I was sodomized by Budweiser beer bottles, vaginally and anally. Um, uh, as they drove around, I was in the back seat with 2 men. I think the most disturbing part of that was that we actually drove down the street that I lived on. We actually drove by the house that I lived in, and I was in the back seat, and I could literally see my mom in the kitchen window preparing my dinner. I was late coming home because I was playing basketball with some friends at a nearby school, and so that was that was like the soul crushing part where I thought I knew I wasn't going to make it back home. That I honestly didn't think I was going to live. I was bleeding everywhere over my body, exhausted. Um, um, I had lost consciousness numerous times during this whole event, and I could literally hear them while I was unconscious. I can feel them licking my face. I can feel them biting me. I can feel them hitting me and laughing, and it was very traumatic. And then I could hear one of them saying, "Holy F, I think she's dead. I think we killed her." And then they all started laughing. As I'm laying in the back seat, naked and bleeding, and I didn't move. I stayed still, and they pulled over, threw me out of the car. I laid there on the ground, naked and bleeding, and they were kind enough to get out of the car and urinate on me while I lay there bleeding. I did not move. I knew that if I moved, I knew if they saw any kind of life from me, I would have been taken again, and most likely would have been killed. I pretended I was dead. They urinated on me, threw their cigarettes at me, laughed, gave high fives. I can hear them doing that. Opened another beer, and off they were again. I laid there on the ground, not moving. I was so exhausted, and I was so hurt, like beyond repair. But I knew I had to get up. So I got up, and I was bleeding. There was so much blood coming down my legs. My head was bleeding, my nose, my mouth. I was completely destroyed. And I walked home naked with one pink sock on. And when I got home, my mom just screamed. She was hysterical. And I honestly do not even know how I walked home, but I did. I was in shock. My mom, we didn't know about DNA. That's not really taught to us. We didn't know anything about DNA. I mean, had we had known about it, my mom would not have put me in the tub, but she did. She put me in the tub, and I was silent. I was traumatized, and I was like in a daze. And I'm sitting in the bathtub, and I can see everybody running around hysterical beside me, but I'm not zoned in. I'm just staring straightly at the wall. And then all of a sudden I just let out this huge scream, and then I could feel everything. I can feel every ache, every pain in my body. I can feel everything, and I just let out this horror. It just scared the shit out of everyone. My mom put me in the car. We went to the hospital. We did a rape kit. I don't know if you know anybody that has done a rape kit, or it's very traumatic. It's very humiliating. They're very invasive, and it's like getting raped all over again. Extremely invasive. So invasive that they're literally with a flashlight in your vagina looking, and that's just more degrading, and it's dehumanizing as well, and it's a very traumatic experience all over again. I did that, and I went home, and nothing. There was no response. There was no follow-up from the RCMP at all. And that's where I really, really started to discover the racial profiling that our CMP, our police, have toward Indigenous people, or the disregard for our lives and our safety. There was no follow-up, nothing. So I moved from that town. I changed my name, moved from that town, and where I am currently living now is a small community. I've been here for about 28 years. And just recently, January 14th, I was walking to my car. Happened again. I was approached by a man on the street. And once he started talking to me, a red van pulled up beside me. When the red van pulled up beside me, there was one man driving, and then the guy in the back opened up the sliding door and tried to pull me in. It's very organized. They're very bold. They knew exactly what they were doing. He had a hold of my arm a few times. I screamed, shook my arm loose. The guy on the street kept trying to shove me toward the van. So hear me when I say this, people are just getting abducted now. It's very organized. They know exactly what they're doing. I fought, I screamed, I was loud, I ran, I got away. I knew what would have happened to me if I got thrown in that van, because I had already survived one abduction. There's no way I would be able to survive another one. So I fought really, really hard to get away. I have 2 kids waiting for me at home. If I didn't fight hard, if I didn't put up a fight, my kids would still be wondering where their mother is today. They would be crying at night, wondering where the hell their mother is. It's very scary out there for us, especially Indigenous people. We are 12 times more likely to go missing, to be murdered, than any other race. So that means that your mother, your sister, your aunt, your grandmother, your niece, your daughter, when they leave their house today, they have a very good chance of not returning home. So when we leave, it is a huge blessing to be able to return back home to our family. I didn't report that to the police when I got nearly abducted January 14th. I didn't report that, but I took to social media and I put it on there, and it spread like wildfire. So once I put that out there, it was like boom, boom, boom. People started noticing. People started noticing the vehicle. They started noticing what was happening around them, and it just created a lot of awareness. And that's what I wanted to do. My biggest responsibility in this was just creating awareness. I didn't tell the police because of what happened when I was 12, and there was just a lack of regard for my life and my safety, and it was humiliating. So that's why I didn't call the police when I got nearly abducted January 14th. I took to social media, and my God, did I ever get an immense amount of support. And then other women started noticing things happening too. And it's just a crazy, crazy time for us right now. I think it is. I don't think it matters what town we're living in. We're always going to have to face that reality of that lack of regard for us with RCMP. I'm not saying that the police or the RCMP, I'm not saying that they're all bad. I am saying that they stick up for each other. They'll protect each other for the ones that are profiling us. I don't feel safe with an RCMP officer. Once I put that out there, I was actually harassed by the RCMP. They were at my house. They were harassing my friends in town and demanding a statement from them, even though they weren't even present when I was nearly abducted January 14th. And that's just the way that they operate. It's like a very bully mentality. The police have left a really bad taste in our mouths since the beginning of time. And it dates back to where residential school had swept the whole nation. The RCMP have left a bad taste in all of our mouths since then and before that. I do understand that not all police are bad, and I do recognize and honor the ones that are trying to come forward and help and band with us together on this. I have 2 RCMP members that highly support what I'm doing, and they are very active in the walks that I do. And the next walk that I have coming up, they won't be on shift, but they will be. They want to be there on the walk. They are Indigenous RCMP officers, and some have actually been affected by MMIW. So I'm trying to build that bridge of open communication and a relationship with our CMP and our people. And it's really hard. I get a lot of discrimination for it, but like it goes both ways. Some people don't like it and some people do. That's really the only way that we're going to get ahead with this. We all have to stand together on this. Fighting this, I've been doing this for a while now, and I'm getting really educated on this. But every day it's something new that I'm learning. You always learn something new with this. What I've learned is that we can't do this by ourselves. We can't do this with just our own community. We all have to stand together and fight this together, whether you're an RCMP officer, whether you're on the other side of the world. I have people from different walks of life who are not Indigenous. They are South Asian, they're Asian, Italian. They're coming forward and wanting to support any way that they can, which is really amazing because that's what we need. We need more people to help support with us.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting that you say that because so I have a story from my from where I'm from, the Hill River Indian community. When I was sharing this and trying to get people to come on, someone reached out about someone who was missing since August of 2019. So that's almost 2 years now, I believe. Her name is Cynthia Acivado. She's been missing from District 6, or she originally was missing from District 6. And this is, it's really close to home because this is where I'm from, and like, and the fact like I didn't even hear about like what happened, or like I didn't hear no stories, no, like I didn't see anything on social media about it. And it was really when I heard about it, I was just like surprised more than anything that like this can just happen and people can not know about it in your own community sometimes. But when I asked this person what they wanted the people to know, or what the message they wanted to convey, it's that she wants the community to come together and to help find Cynthia. And I think that like it's just really powerful that people are like, there's literally like people begging to people to help. And I think we need to be there more for each other, not only like you said, like everywhere. So when you told the police about your first abduction, and after like a while, was there like any any media coverage on it, as far as like a newspaper or a news station, anything really?
None.
None.
Zero. There was nothing. There was no follow-up. There was no, it was a very high lack of regard. I was a child. I was so badly hurt that my doctor, the one that was assessing me, told my mom that there was zero chance for me to have children. after that, just because I was so badly and violently, brutally raped and sodomized. So they basically, not only did they help in killing my spirit, but they essentially murdered my womb. And women are life givers. We are the life bearers and we're the life givers, and that's what they tried to murder from me. But I have 2 children. I have 2 boys, and they didn't take that from me.
So, what I want to know is, this is very traumatic, and I couldn't even begin to think where I would begin to get help or recover from that.
Um, it's been a long road. I had suffered a lot, not only from that experience. I'm a survivor of child sex trafficking. I was taken from my mother and what's called the 60s scoop in Canada. That's what it's initially called. It basically it's just taking Indigenous children and placing them into white homes. And I was sex trafficked by my foster father. So I experienced a lot of traumatic experiences when I was a child. And then this abduction when I was 12 really kind of sent me over the edge. I spent my adult life and I was in a really bad place, a really dark place, and just trying to heal. And I suffered from suicide. I struggled with that, mental health. It impacted my mental health immensely. And I turned to drugs. I was drug dependent. It was like a band-aid, pretty much. It was like, when you have a cut and you're bleeding, you place a band-aid over it, and it's just healing it for just a short time. And that was my intake on drugs. And it really it consumed my adult life. And once I started healing and moving forward with that, I really kind of took myself back. And I am now I'm medically described as I have to take medication, antidepressants, and that once I kind of gave into the fact that I wasn't in a right mental state of mind because of all the trauma that I experienced, I reached out to my doctor, and I have to take medication probably for the rest of my life.
I think it's just like really sad to think about how a lot of people in indigenous countries are it's so easy to turn to alcohol or drugs in order to cope with something instead of having more resources out there or even knowing about the resources because people can think there's no help out there, but there is sometimes.
I didn't know about any help. I honestly did not. It's not something that we talk about. It's a huge stigma. A very hush hush community, pretending you're okay. And I think that really comes off with our self pride to our ego, as pretending that nothing happened to us and putting that fake smile and posting that fake smile on social media when actually we need help. And that's something that I didn't know about. If I knew about the help that was out there or the resources, resources are not educated to us as Indigenous people. But it's coming more aware now, and we're starting to speak up about it. And had I known when I was younger, I probably would have made better choices in my life.
So yeah, I think the main thing is getting the help out there and the resources for people that need it, because I for one know like the difficulty of coping with something that you feel like it's impossible to get over sometimes, and it's easy to turn to these bad things without really reaching out for help, because it's like you said, it's like putting a band-aid on the wound. It helps for a little bit, but then you're always getting another band-aid, you're always
Yeah.
putting it back on.
That band-aid, like it's our people are wounded from so many different traumatic experiences in our lives, and not only facing what happened to our mothers and our grandmothers, and that's something that we didn't ask for, that it's just placed upon us, and we're all forced to deal with that, because we all had a huge pain placed upon us, and so we have to deal with that. Not only dealing with that, we're dealing with our own life traumatic experiences. And so we're just kind of dealt with one shitty hand after another. And, like in every town that we live in, every town that Indigenous people are, we always see our lost ones out there on the streets that are struggling with addictions and homeless. And, people with only one perspective will see that stereotype person of just another drunk Indian. And when in actual reality, we're hurting and we're just trying to find that band-aid. I struggled with suicide a lot, and that's something that I didn't tell people. And that's something that I wanted to, but I didn't. Like I just thought, like the people around me, I kept thinking like, why can't you notice that I'm not me? Why don't you see that this is not me? But I couldn't say it. I could not say it. Um, I was I'm what you call a runner. So what I mean by that is I will run when I'm faced with a huge traumatic experience, and I don't I won't talk about it. But what I'll do is, when I was in my addictions, I would go and grab my drinks. I would go grab my cocaine and run up the hill, drive and park up there by myself. And I was very suicidal, extremely suicidal. And I would get drunk and I would get high, and then I would literally put the gun to my head and scream and cry in my car. That's not me. That is not I was struggling huge amounts of traumatic experiences and trying to deal with that. And I never did it, but I wanted to.
So I see now that you're into activism, you're into spreading the message. Um, I just think that it's powerful of you, really, that like from where you were and to be able to climb to where you're at now. It must have been a like emotional like battleground, really.
It really was. It was like I had already ruined myself by um, my own negativity, my own negative tapes that I play in my head. We all have negative tapes that we play. It doesn't matter. You can have the most confident person in the room, and that person will still have negative tapes that they play. And battling with that, battling with drugs, battling with suicide and mental health issues and everything, trauma. Like it was just like everything just pouring onto me. And I thought, um, I pretty much just broke. And I kept with this, it's my own way of thinking and how to place and Cartman put them all together is I kept wanting to my broken pieces. I kept trying to keep them up and keep grabbing onto my broken pieces and put them back in. But when you're dealing with broken pieces, like say glass, you're going to get cut. And that's what kept happening, trying to hold them together, and it would cut. It would reopen again. Boom, off I go. Drugs, alcohol, suicide. I completely let myself fall apart. I let myself break completely without holding on to any broken parts. And once I allowed myself to do that, I was actually able to heal. And once I allowed myself to break and fall apart, my God, it's like a whole rebirthing experience. You cry, you laugh. The things that I've lived through is just, it's crazy. But my story is not unique in any way. My story is not, there are other people that have a story just like mine, you know, but they're just not as outspoken or not in the healing place of where I am right now. I'm very active with speaking about MMIW and child sex trafficking and violence against women and children. I'm very passionate about that. It's led me to a lot of amazing experiences. I would have never guessed myself being this person 2 years ago, last year even. But it's definitely built, and I've definitely built and created a whole different woman. This is somebody that I can actually be proud of, and hearing my kids say that they're proud of me rather than seeing their mother sleeping all day because she's sick and hungover is huge. But it doesn't come without cost. I've received death threats. People have threatened the life of my children as well. People don't like to hear the truth. The truth has a way of scaring people. And once you start letting out the truth, it upsets a lot of people. And especially when I've been hurt by the government of Canada, it upsets a lot of people. But the reward overcomes more of the fear. I've feared a little bit here and there, but I always bounce back, and every time I get threatened with my life, I come back. I'll come at social media harder, let them know, like, sorry, you don't get to win. I've literally climbed out of the dirt and piss I was left in. A single text message of saying that they're going to kill me and my children. I'm not going to let them win.
What would you say to the Indigenous women out there who aren't in the same healing process as you, or are just in grief and can't handle it? What is the message you want them to hear?
They're not alone. That was one thing that I had in my mind, is that I thought I was completely left alone in this. When it's a scary thought, when you're placed with all these tragedies in your life and trying to pretend that you're okay, and we're all raising our children and we're all supposed to be this amazing person, but we're falling apart, and it's a very scary place to think that you're alone. And my biggest message to women and men who have a story like mine, I want them to know that they're not alone, and we need you. We need you out here, because, my God, this is a huge message that we're sending out to the entire world. So their story matters, and their story is going to make a huge difference.
When I was doing my research for my RA, it's short for rhetorical analysis. I was all like one like bad like weird similarity, not weird, but I think it's just horrible that like all these people, like they feel like nobody cares that their families are going through this, and nobody cares that their loved ones are missing. They don't think that they get um, the awareness that it should, and um, like mainstream media doesn't cover it enough. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's incredibly sad. If you think about North Dakota, House Bill 1199, they actually created a law just so that they can address this. And I think that's just fucking sad that you actually have to have a law to look for the missing and murdered Indigenous people. I think that's really, really sad, and it really kind of states where we are on the totem pole of that. I think that the mainstream media, it really kind of goes back to oppression. Um, I feel like we have always had to fight for our safety. We've fought for our safety since the beginning of time, and now we're in the year 2021, and we're still fighting for our safety. Nothing's changed. The only thing that have changed is the scenery. There's such a high traffic volume for people like us, where we literally have a target on our back, and we have to fight for our safety every single day. Every time we leave the house, we're fighting for our safety. I think that the society has a way of placing that upon us, that we're expendable and that we don't matter just because of colonialism and that kind of mentality. And they don't, their ignorance doesn't see that we're actual people who are raising our kids, who are living in a good way. Like, we're not winos or drunks. Like, and the people that are, they're hurting and they're struggling and they're lost. And the last thing that they need is their judgmental bullshit. That kind of gets me a little bit fired up. That would lead us into a huge discussion, and I don't think you're ready for that. But yeah.
Oh man, I just had a question on the tip of my tongue. Oh geez. Okay, I remember now. So why is it that Indigenous women are being targeted out of the highest, literally the highest, out of every other racial group or gender group?
That's a huge question, and that has a really, it's a slippery slope. I think basically because we are easily accessible. And with that, I mean that because there's so many people on the street that are hurting and lost, that they're an easy target. But there are people that are living really good lives, who are teachers, who are students. I'm a university student. I go enrolled with the Simon Fraser University, and I'm targeted. This has a really huge different answers to this question. I think that mostly because that we're easily accessible. And basically because of race. The whole system is completely racist, and there's still racist people that live amongst our communities. So that's why we are highly targeted. It's purely out of race.
I I think this is like, it's not only, it's a big problem, right? And there's not like one answer to this, but how can we start defeating it? How can we start spreading more awareness so Indigenous women are safe again?
I think the biggest way that we can battle this is just by continuing our awareness, spreading our awareness, educating others around us. With the I'm very active in that, and every day I'm pumping out information on my social media, spreading awareness on people that are missing, that have been missing for years and years. But I'll continue sharing that information. I have people reaching out to me, families that are missing their brother or their sister or their mom, asking me to put out a post. So everything that you see that I'm posting, it's because I've been asked to do it. Um, this has just been kind of a calling that I'm just kind of rolling with. Um, People reach out to me all the time, and basically because I'm known to spread awareness, I'm educating others around us, and I think that's our biggest responsibility, and that's our biggest way that we can battle this, is just keep pumping out information, keep spreading awareness, share posts. If you see somebody writing a post about a missing or Indigenous women or people, share their posts, get it out there. That is our biggest tool that we have access to, is social media. So make use of it.
One other, I saw this as a post you shared. I believe it was you. It was something along the lines of awareness is not only wearing the red handprint over your face. It's just checking in on your Indigenous women around you.
That's basically it. Yeah, I put that post out because I mean, TikTok is kind of the new social media hype right now, and you can't scroll by it without seeing somebody post something about MMIW. And to them, I mean, it's just like painting their face to make it look like they're beat up and bleeding, and uh, that's not what it is. And that's coming from a survivor. It's not what it is, and that really kind of it doesn't sit well with me. If you really want to get in on this and get active in it, you're going to have to do more than paint your face. And it calls to require a checking on people, that checking on your friends or family that you know they're out shopping for the day. Call them and check on them. Hey, did you make it to the grocery store okay? Let me know when you're back. That I have people that check in with me every time they travel. They'll let me know when they've left, if they're stopping to gas up, if they're stopping to eat, when they got to their destination, and they will call me and let me know. And I think that's something that we're all going to have to start doing. What we're all going to have to start doing essentially is doing a plan, a missing plan. If I go missing, this is the picture you use. These are the resources that you have. I have it on my fridge. This is the picture. These are the numbers you call. These are a few websites. Get my picture out there as soon as you can. And I think that's something that we're all going to have to start doing, whether you're a woman, man, boy, girl. Get it out there and have that plan ready for your family, because there's a huge chance that you won't return home when you leave. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will.
Yeah, it's just really sad to think about because I have I have older aunties. I have younger cousins. I have little sisters, and it's very unsettling to think about.
It's, it's very unsettling, and to think that every time they leave their house or they go to school, walk to school, to think that somebody has already targeted them and that they're not coming home, that's huge and scary. And that's the kind of world we're living in now.
It's very sad, but like you said, it's important to spread the awareness because people need to know now because it's been happening, and if nobody is aware, then it's gonna continue to happen, and maybe
Yeah,
at higher rates.
you're absolutely right, David. You're absolutely right.
So before we ended, was there any resources that you recommend if you need help?
Yes. My biggest right now that is helping me is social media. biggest, huge access to that. There is actually a huge list. It's really ginormous. What I'll do is, if you post this on, are you posting this on social media?
It's gonna be posted as soon as it's done live streaming. It posts itself.
Okay, so what I will do is I will put all the links underneath this so that people can just access it right at the tip of their finger. I think that's a huge thing is knowing the resources out there. It's something that we all need to be aware of because oh, I didn't know. I had no clue. But now that I do know, it's my responsibility to start sharing that. That's social media is such a huge tool that has been very rewarding for me.
One last thing before we go. This is just like kind of a question for you and your like personal self. Compared to when you were first going through being abducted to now spreading activism and spreading support for people, are you more hopeful now?
No, I'm not. Um, Only because this continues to happen. Even though we're spreading awareness, even though we're pumping it out there are more people like me that are making huge differences across Canada and the United States. I've spoken across Canada and into the United States about this, and there's more people like me that are doing that, who are active like me, are even more active. And it continues to happen in our communities. I wanted to give up. I've broken down and cried, and it's a huge battle, a huge battle, and it's really sad to lose that faith, but and the reason why I've lost hope. But I continue to stand up and fight. My cousin just went missing. My cousin has just been declared missing. So doing what I do, I'm very active and I'm an advocate for missing and murdered Indigenous women. With each one that I am advocating for, it hits home, and I get emotional and I cry about it, even though I don't know them. I've never met them. I can relate to it, and it hits me on a personal level. But now that my cousin has been officially declared missing, it's even harder. And I think that's where I had my breaking point. I laid on my kitchen floor crying and wondering, what am I doing? Like, why does this keep happening? And I feel like I'm sure that other advocates have felt that too, like their responsibility. It's a huge responsibility on all of us, and we just have a certain way of carrying that responsibility for everybody else because we just want to help save everyone. We get emotionally attached to it. It's very easy to get emotionally attached to it, but I've been up, running on 3 hours of sleep in the last 50 hours. I've been up trying to find my cousin, letting out resources, doing live videos, pumping out posters and as much information as I can. What I think is happening here in Canada or in British Columbia, Canada is what I feel is we have a profiler. That meaning said, what I mean by that is that women continue to turn up missing who all look similar. Where my cousin went missing, it's 4 minutes away from a lady named Shalene Bell in Chilliwack, BC. Shalene Bell is currently still missing today. My cousin went missing from that exact same town and exact same spot. And that really hit home with me, and it kind of broke me down. But there's a lot of work to do, and kind of leaves me a little bit hopeless every now and then. But only with that being said, is that just means that I got to go at it harder, and I will.
I definitely feel like sincerely that what you're doing, like, it's just it's beautiful that regardless of how you feel, you know that there's people out there that are just like you and you're helping them the same way you needed help. And I think that it's time that everybody, men, women, even if you're not Indigenous, to take on responsibility for these people that are going missing, because it's just not right that human beings are being taken from what they know from their home, and it's just so it's atrocious, really.
It is. It's very. It's really sad that with MMIW and what I do on during walks, I find it very. Isn't that sad though that we have to do walks and raise awareness just so that we don't go missing? I think that's completely. I think that's really sad.
I think it's just, yeah, the world we're living in today, it's just full of hate and racism and bad things, and it's going to
Exactly.
take people coming together like you and I, people, other people too, spreading awareness and just making sure people know it's not all bad, and there's there's hope out there to become better.
Yes, there is, and I want to thank you so much, David, for doing this. We need more men to stand up by us. If you go back 100 years ago, men had a very, very important role. Their role was to protect. They stood by women and protected them. And we need men to start going back into those roles and standing beside us. Um, we need men. We need them to start healing and finding themselves so that they can stand beside us and fight beside us with this, because women women are on the front lines of this, and we're being murdered, we're being raped, and we're not returning back home. So we need more men like you to step up and doing what you're doing. And I want to thank you for doing this, David. This is important work.
Thank you for just coming on and sharing your story. And it's sad because women are so important, like traditionally to us, and like you said, we're supposed to protect them. And now in this new modern world, it's starting to feel like every person for themselves, and it's not supposed to be that way.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Dating back again, if you go back to 100 years ago, everybody moved as everybody moved together. Where they've all provided together, they gathered together, they hunted together, they provided for their communities together. And that's something that we need to start focusing on doing, because everything that we're doing, we need to start doing it together. And for us to get anywhere, we can't do this separately. That hasn't worked so far.
Whole communities really need to come together and just prevent this from happening, and be on the lookout for each other. Like always, it's sad that it's come to this, but at this point, we need to protect each other, or we're gonna end up losing Indigenous mothers and women out there, and it's not right.
I agree. This is a huge, yeah. With my next walk that I have planned April 10th, I have called out all political leaders. That being said, chief and council in our surrounding area, I've called them all out to come and join us and participate, as well as city, mayor, and council in on this. This one is going to be more political because I am calling for action, and we need more participation from the entire surrounding communities in on this. the more participation we get, the more we're going to get somewhere with this. I have reached out to Justin Trudeau. He is the Prime Minister of Canada. I have told my story to the Minister of Justice of Canada, David Lametti. I've told my story to, I was on a Zoom with All Chiefs Nation and told my story to them. David Lametti wept, the Minister of Justice of Canada. We don't have enough education on this. We don't have enough awareness on this. And what I told them, my story, they were completely stood back on this because nobody's speaking about it. We've lived it, we survived it, but we're not speaking about it. And that is our biggest responsibility, is using our voice and educating others around us of what is actually happening so that it can be more eye-opening. The more we know, the more we can do.
And that goes for everybody, like not just community members. Everybody needs to know.
Everybody, yeah.
Well, I think that's about it for today. Was there anything else you wanted to say to the community?
Just thanking them for following me. My social media is really crazy right now. But also, speaking of social media, that's one thing that I want to say. Social media can also be very dangerous. For men that are, there's sex trafficking. I put out a map of sex trafficking markets across Canada, and which leads into the United States. I let that out. I will be putting that up. I'll post that underneath this Zoom once you post it as well. I want to remind people that are, especially women, children, teenagers, we're being profiled and we don't even know it, or we're not aware of it. It's like opening up a Sears catalog. They can pick out who they want and who they choose. So that's one thing that I always want people to remember. Social media can be dangerous, and you need to start being aware of who you're accepting as a friend. There's so many fake profiles right now. Because of what I do, I'm getting a lot of friend requests, and I have to literally vet them. I'm vetting every single friend request right now. And right now I'm at 1,526 or something friend requests. There's no way I can go through each of them, and I'm not going to. If I know that we have mutual friends, that's one thing to look at. If you know the person, or you know that you have mutual friends in common, that being said, you still have to look at them. These people are using fake pictures of men that are got six-pack abs and wearing a bathing suit in front of a pool, essentially to somebody else, or to a single girl. She'd be like, oh my God, yeah, I'll add him. 9 times out of 10, that's fake. And they're using a way of drawing that in just to get their attention, just so that they have contact with you. They need to start vetting their friend requests. And this is what is upsetting to me, because I have friends who are accepting these fake profiles because I'm looking at it and it shows that I have mutual friends. I'm looking at the friends who are accepting these people and like thinking, my God. And it's essentially putting us at danger because we're mutual friends. So that gives them access to us, to our profiles, because we're mutual friends. So that's my biggest thing that I want to say. Be careful on social media and stop just accepting anybody, because not only you're putting yourself at risk, but you're putting your loved ones and your friends at risk too, because they're being now exposed to us. Please be careful with that.
Thank you for that insight. Like, yeah, it's definitely important to watch out for social media, and not only that, and there's a lot of fake news out there right now, and just like spreading a lot of bias, and it's just you need to really look at what you're seeing instead of just taking it to face value.
Very much. Yeah, I agree with you, David.
Well, I just wanted to thank you again for coming on today. I also want to thank you for just sharing such a powerful story and willing to share with these people and myself. It's really it was an honor.
The honor was all mine, David. And thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me on this. It's really it's huge work, and what you're taking on is huge. And I commend you for doing this. It's amazing. We need more men like you to start stepping up and helping us with this. So thank you for standing beside us.
I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly. I've been I've been trying to spread this message since high school, really. um,
Well, I'm a big fan of yours then, David.
Thank you, thank you. Um, so everybody watching right now, thank you again for tuning in, for watching. If you had a good time today, just um, yes, share this. Get as many people to see it as you can. Um, because this was just a very beautiful story, and we need more people to hear these things. Um, so thank you again. I'll see